what we are going to do today is I'm going to direct you into the spaces that you can gently be aware of how you're conducting this whole spiritual journey. Now, if your spiritual journey is somewhere when you have something called suffering or a difficulty or something that is not going in your way and there is a level of unhappiness, and if that is the moment that you're applying to get out of it, today become aware of it, because that means you're not embracing the totality of life. Now, when you are in the space of totally in the space of this life, the Shakti, the energy of life comes in so many forms. Sometimes it can come on the face of difficulty to the limitation of your mind or to the physicality of the body. But the more you embrace these experiences and say, I am going to be with it, with my totality, and I don't want to numb this. At that very moment, the frequency of the life then start merging into the frequency because you itself is life. Then the journey itself is become much more level of awareness. And now that is what we are looking in, not to avoid her phases of life, but to see her through the phases of the difficulty, to the phases of limitation, the phases of things are not happening in your way, because that is a different level of understanding and realization. So we are not looking for logic answers, we are not looking for deep spiritual things, because when you embrace that path, and whether you do a ritual now, when I wake up in the morning, I light the candles, I water the plants, I arrange the space of the, you could see the shrine. That all comes not as a day-to-day ritual, but it is a celebration of this moment, whatever it is. I am going to be aware of all these things, and I'm going to engage all of these things, whether it's a difficulty, whether it's not a possibility, whether things are not going on your way. So today, saying this, I'm going to, through the postures, through the breathing, I'm going to incorporate these directions where you can see where you have stopped life, where you have stagnated life, where you have shut the windows, because life is a flow. The moment you are in the fear, moment with limitation, you shut things, you stop things. It doesn't allow it to navigate you further than where you meant to be. And that's what we wanted to come into, that realization and understanding. So saying that, I will allow you to take a good space of a breath to erect that spine from the last night, from the story, from the identity, from the future, from the past. At that very moment, you understand there is no problem, because you're even aware of the limitation of the body. You have become the aware of the limitation of the mind. You have even become aware of the limitation of the story. Now, if the life is not disturbed, it is all solution. There is no problem. Problem occurs, ask yourself, where have I stopped being aware? Difficulty offer is pointing you where I have stopped celebrating. Now, shoulders roll back, arms raised onto the ground, interlacing the fingers, soften the lower rib cage and stretch, 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 and breathing in and extend the spine to the lock of that hands from the feet to the tailbone, tailbone up to there. Breath out, spread the wings wider and twisting the spine to the right side. Stomach very gently pulling in. Just observe that you're navigating a mind, navigating a body, with total awareness. And that whole awareness has come to the limitation of this mind and the body. But you're larger than that. Now come back into the center. Now change the leg formation. Take a deep breath in. Arms raise onto the crown, interlacing the fingers, palms facing up. Shoulders relax. Chest open, elbows stretch. Couple of more breaths to extend the areas that is the stagnated, whether it's a stagnation of a shoulder breath, stagnation of extending that muscle, stagnation of the core reoccurring. Breath out, spread the wings, turning onto the left side, stomach pulling in. Breath in, back into the center. Shoulders relaxed and chest open. Keep that space of the heart elevated, because you could gently see if your body is taking the shape of the mind, that stagnation, that life entering into the space. Be aware of those parts. Now I'm going to move the camera towards Darren so that you can see the postures if you need to see the postures. Not that it is the most important thing. Now very gently, taking your next breath, and very gently move into a seated cat. Stomach pulled in. Now start celebrating this moment. The moment you're celebrating, you're fixing everything that was a problem. Breathing in into a seated bow, tongue roll up onto the upper palate, energy gains onto the space of the third eye. Now in this phase, the awakening beyond the body and the mind, let it take over your life. Let the practice become your devotion. Breath out, anus lock, navel lock, throat lock into a seated cat. Let the whole cosmos of the micro part, if you want to know the logic, let it dance of that celebration. Breathing in, tongue roll up onto the upper palate, energy gaze onto the third eye. Tongue roll up. Now relax the body. Now take a deep breath in. Very gently stretch that left leg into the back, keeping the right hip open. Shoulders come into that space of the relaxation. Totally in this realization and understanding, you're completely committed. Take a deep breath in, drop the elbows, walk those palms. Release those tension of your hands, squeezing into a limitation, and open up. She's coming with many, many faces. So giving your everything into this present moment. And see what life is going to bring you in this very moment. What is already bringing. Listen, life has given you more than what you even put on your list. So commit to this very moment. Take a deep breath in, very gently coming back. Shoulders roll back, chest open. Very gently moving into a plank. Elevate the back of the head. Keep the spine from the top of the head to the feet. Take a deep breath in, very gently drop the left knee onto the floor. Right arm stretching into the front, up to the ceiling. Observe the logic mind is coming into that space, right reaching into the back, touch the floor. Very gently drop the knees. Give a good rotation to the hips, releasing any further tension. Onto the other side. Releasing that tension that can be accumulating in the digestion, in the liver, in the organ, in the spleen, in the pancreas, kidneys. Bringing that space, stretch the spine into the back, palms facing up. Now your functioning start with the body, observing the mind. But now beyond, you're offering to the space of that mother, beyond a thought, because you always bring to that consciousness a thought. Now let your offering be beyond a thought, because your vibration of the mantra, vibration of the thought is not powerful. But just give your presence to what you. Ever tried giving your presence to someone? How things change? When you give a presence to that animal, the baby, to the relationship, how things change. Some people live together, but they are not present. They live for many, many years without that presence. So today is all about giving that presence. People are always with their phones when they are going out for a dinner. They are celebrating something beautiful. They want to take a picture. Now, palms facing down, when you come into this realization, remember I said to you, I'm going to give you points today just to sit with yourself and let life to see you. Let life to fall in love with you. Because it's itself, it's a celebration. Rolling and bringing the chest into the front. Soften the hips, elbows onto the floor, breathing in into a gentle cobra. So now you're not bringing anything to ask, anything to solve. You're just giving presence to this moment. You're just in the space of a wise friend, just want to listen. Just listen. Just listening, not your interpretation. Overlooking to the right side. Back into the center. Overlooking to the left side. Back into the center. Gently relax the third eye onto the floor. Elbows pointing out. Now just your breath, your listening is just welcoming that Shakti. You're not asking anything from this class to run away from this class. When you don't treat that God conscious as something has to be always like a business. I'll give you this puja, but I want that in return. Do you think the Shakti will appear? It can foresee all human limitation. Let your effort be effortless and no technical and no profit oriented. Just be. So now, at this very moment, I want you to let go everything that you have been doing as a technique, as a secure, as something to gain. How to come into this space so that I can bring that into my spiritual journey. I will do everything from this space. Now bring the palms where the elbows are and breathing in and elevate into up face. Let your heart, let your whole space of the compassion to open. Breath out towards the down face. Now very gently bringing that left foot into the front, into the pigeon pose. Let's start embracing the breath, breathing in. Just become the whole beauty of breathing. Breath out, let the body take that energy and let it dance and drop the elbows, walk those palms. And this way of committing, because these days we have a lot of things on the space. In 5 minutes, you can get elevated to this, that. 5 minutes, you can, 5 seconds, you want everything to be done. Do you think is that the way things get manifested and move through? When you're sending that kind of impatience to the space of life that is searching for you, of course, the worry and the suffering and the misery will appear in these grounds. Now take a deep breath in very gently, palms facing down, coming back. Shoulders roll back. Lift up the space of the heart very gently. Now see whether if you're stuck in the space of listening and taking it into a personal level, take a breath out and release that tension, because that is showing that you are not in the space of the practice. Flat. Don't let the limitation to drown you. You're only drowning yourself, but you're blaming something else. Right knee onto the floor, left arm reaching into the front, up to the ceiling. Let that breath be released in the tension, but it's holding into the back, touch the floor. Very gently drop the knees and give a good rotation to the hip, wider rotation. Strong on the pelvic flows, stomach very gently pulling in, opening up that chest, opening up that hips, opening up the space. Now stretch the spine, palms facing up. Now you have just gently coming into the place of no matter the limitation of the body and the mind is coming in. Now there is no need for you to avoid it. Now there is no need to solve it or try it, because you are in the space of observing. Not just observing, you're observing into the minute detail of everything in your life. Then the darkness that has appeared as the problem is now in a space of shining, illuminating. So it brings this space the flow. It's this place, the shadow is not a reality. It brings the movement, it brings the heat. All these elements in the body also can be stagnated when there is no heat. Now this practice of awareness is moving things away, dissolving the space of the suffering, what you call, whatever it is. Palms facing down, crawling and bringing the chest into the front, breathing in into a gentle up face. Breathe out towards a gentle down face. Now toes pointing at each other, heels apart, so you can release and bring the flow to the hips, flow to the knees, flow to the feet, and you are paying attention to listening to this space. So anything that frozen in your life is now melting away. It is a ground for things to grow, because you're bringing the Shakti, the presence, and your awareness starts to change. Now your body will move into the way it wants to move to celebrate that Shakti. Very gently drop the knees, stretch the spine, moving into the space of the child pose. Now very gently bring the fist onto the third eye and activate the pituitary and the pineal energy. This is also good to look at the sun early in the morning through your eyelashes, like you're looking through the feathers, so that it activates this energy. And when it falls on you, it will start burning all these old stagnant old cells that cannot be used for anything. And this energy will burn, and it will give birth and a new ground as the ice melt, as the frozen parts of the flow comes. So now don't see mind separately and body separately. Intricate part of the body is the mind, gross part of the, but they have different level of intelligence. Now your life, just keep it in that space. Are you with me now, being aware of? Now let the practice, the breath, to start changing and evolving you. Now I'm stretching to the front. Spread the arms wider into the front, palms facing down, very gently rolling back into the down face. Now see, there is a quality in your present. When you're listening to the present moment. When your life is difficult constantly, that means you're not giving it your presence. You're not giving it your heat to melt all things. For some reason, you're avoiding to look at it. Don't take any of these things personal. Absolute with love, giving these areas to look at. Left foot up, left knee to the left chest, breathe out. Stretch back, left knee to the left elbow, breathe out. Stretch back, left knee to the right elbow, stretch back, left foot into the front, arms stretching to the back, arms raised onto the ground, interlacing the fingers, palms facing up. Now let the practice to discard all that old bullshit, the story. That is where most of your complaints are coming from, because still the residue of that is there. Or when it is green, you have given your presence to it, not for this very moment. Now, when you come into this realization, opening up onto the right side into the Virabhadrasana, because you are now in the space of tapa, being aware of it. Everybody in this place, take a mudra, wants to release the suffering, but they don't want to work on it. But now you're giving that fullest attention of the tapas. And you're taking a mudra now the situation is blessed to move into new forms. The mudra itself is releasing the tension of the misery, the suffering. In the present moment, nothing exists. But you may say, I had this. But so just observe the old definitions, and all of your old condition is still coming back. Gentle arch. Back into the center. Elbow onto the knee. Right arm stretch. Open up. Keep the breathing happening. Keep the energy flowing. Now, when you are giving this energy, the very energy that was suffering starts to become your joy, start to become your life, start to become your insight, start to become your creativity, start to become your new life. Right, reaching into the front, very gently touch the floor. Left arm reaching up to the ceiling, and breathe. Let the flow begin. We want that dormant part of the body to open, so that will exercise on the mind to release tension, and let it mind to dance in the space of that joy, of the celebration, and the healing, and the growth. Coming into that space of the Turiya, the presence. Left reaching into the back, touch the floor. Strong on the pelvic floor, drop the back knee onto the floor, holding onto the front knee. Coming onto the Garudasana, left arm on the top. Now your presence, your awakened self is the center point. Now, in this very moment, you don't have to trust your old story. The more you tell, be careful of this person, be careful of that, you're bringing the limitation. Now, when you come to this realization, stroke the third eye into the crown, spread the wings wider when you trust your presence. Trust is coming into a place of understanding and realization. It doesn't need your logic. It is the nature of that space that is awakened life, and it dissolves all other calamities. Plank. Strong on the pelvic floor. Down face. Breathing in into a plank. Breathe out towards the down face. Breathing in into a plank. Drop the knees, stretch the spine. Palms facing up. Now, in this level of awakening, level of heat, level of the warmth, suddenly a new pathways are appearing in the space of the brain, in the space of the art, in the space of the creation. So now you understand, when people evolve, they end their dark periods. Not because of their government is doing it for you, because of their finances are doing it for them, not because of anything else. Because they have awakened. The present moment is ending of a dark energy of a dark period. When people constantly talk about their problems, they seem to trust so much their suffering. Even they want to get out of it. Are you with me so far? Palms facing down, crawling and bringing the chest into the front. Breathing in into the up phase. Now you're coming into that presence. You're meeting that presence every moment. If you go into the story, you might lost it again. Got it? Breathe out towards a down face. Right leg up into the back. Right knee to the chest. Breathe out. Breathing in, stretching back. Right knee to the right elbow. Breathing in, stretch back. Right knee to the left elbow. Breathing into the back, right foot into the front. Now arms stretch into the back. Arms raise onto the ground. Palms coming into the space of the Virabhadrasana onto the left. You're taking a mudra. Now you have to see the mind. When you're given in this present moment the sun, you might want to trade that into the reflections of the stars because it's glittering, or sun is too much. Now, so you understand there's a subtle difference. It's like when you see the real thing, you like to see the real thing in the reflection of the water because the real reality is strong. The reflection of the water is more subtle because you're not looking at the real deal. So that a part of your story comes into it. So when this present moments comes into you, when it heats up, when it is lighting the fire with you, don't feel less. Gentle arch. Back into the center, elbow onto the knee. Left arm reaching up the ceiling. Observe. When this Shakti comes to you, it is never last month, next year. But if you bring time into it, you may kill it. If you think there is something more important than this moment, you may have killed it again. When it has come as your presence, don't lose it into many. You have got it? Just reaching into the front, touch the floor. Right arm reaching up to the ceiling, clench and unclench. Right reaching into the back, touch the floor. Drop the back onto the floor, holding onto the front. Arm stretch onto the sides, Garudasana right on the top. Now you have to understand this presence is, but it can expand into many, but be in the core of it. Because many is something you cannot handle because you go into separation when you see the presence of God in many things. Let's say presence of awakening in many things. Now, when you come into this understanding and realization, are you with me? Many in one. Nothing but everything, nothing in the same moment. So when that Shakti comes to play with you, be in a playful mode with it. Don't bring your education to it because its innocence as a child. It giggles and laughs, it throws tantrums. Bring this understanding into you. When you come into that, you hug people for no reason, you dance with people for no reason, you smile with people for no reason, because then you're playing with it. Spread the wings wider and touch. Now you're coming into a place of a stronger play, but in that space of the playfulness. Drop the knees. Completely breathe out into a cat if you can. If it's hard on your knees, use a blanket. Breathing in into a cow. Tongue roll up onto the upper palate. Breathe out. Use the pelvic floor that you're not putting the weight on the knee. Neutral spine, left arm reaching up to the ceiling, into the back, under the armpit. Now dropping that shoulder blade, releasing. When the Shakti comes into the place of meeting you, ask yourself while you're hiding, calling it the name of the suffering, calling it the name of the difficulty, calling it fear. Do you got it so far? Now when the life comes to play with you, why are you calling it these names? Now celebrate this moment. Keep discovering. Through her, you discover yourself furthermore. But through her, when you're discovering her, you also feel like you're losing yourself. Huh? People will say that you're mad, but are you going to work with that energy, or you're going to lose yourself to embrace her? Huh? The life complaining is the life that has not lived. And you are screaming to live that with her. I call it her just of the space, so it's not a gender. Gently coming back, pull that arm, come into that place, and then very gently breathe out to the cat. Expand the spine as an arch. Breathing in tongue, roll up onto the upper palate energy, gaze onto that neutral spine. Let that right arm move as the space of a dance under the armpit. Shoulder relax. Now, the moment you stop playing, you're stuck. So play with it. When things happening in life, play with it. Embrace. Gently coming back. Shoulders roll back, chest open, neutral spine. Wide rotation now. Stretch the spine. Now your breath is a sound of a wave. It is expansion of energy. It is expansion of energy that is so much connected to the cosmos. Now there is no hesitation to expand because of your logic, because of your doubt. As the innocence of a child, it's expand with its new experience. It's laugh about it, it scream about it. It runs away, it comes back, and it expands more. So when the life comes to you, observe this life is not coming to you. It's a secure way. Very gently coming into the space of the child pose, very gently waking up the spine, one vertebra at a time. Now see where the separation of two has merged into one. Bad and good has merging into one. Rich and poor has merged into one. Black and white is merging into one. Open and close has merged into one. So if these are a level of understanding and merging into one, this in this present moment, observe the totality. Not past and future is merging into one. So no longer suffering is when there's two. Now, very gently breathing in, coming up onto your knees, performing the Uttarasana. So center it becomes, and allowing this frequency. Right arm reaching up to the ceiling a few times if you want to warm up. Left arm reaching up if you want to warm up. Start with the hips, bend toes on the floor, heels up. Otherwise, a bolster to support you. Because the body wants to do weird things at this very moment because you're moving through the limitations. Limitations of the words, limitation of the body, limitation of the mind. The body wants to dance. The river wants to flow. Fire wants to burn. So why controlling it? There's a constant flow now. And then you come back to the child pose. Third eye on the fist. Let the body celebrate. Where body gets stagnated and it's streaming into the flow. You may call it a problem, but all it is screaming for flow. It's a pressure building. The challenge is where to cease to work. You may come across and say blockage. And you might say, even I don't know what to do with it. Don't try to do anything outside. Break your limits. Where there's limitation, that means you don't want to expand. You don't want to be a different person. Got it so far? Always new is insecure. There's no security in you. Wake up the spine. When you come into this realization, now I want you to sit in a place of comfort. Twist the spine to the right and onto the left. And this next 5 minutes, I want you to come to feel the frequency, the vibration. Just look at this practice as an energy. As the breath expands, allow the space to have more dimensions. So now there is engagement. The engagement is challenging you to expand. Expand in a cellular level, expand in an energy level, expand in a frequency level. What is this present moment? It is an invitation for expansion. Let that frequency break all the barriers. Let this expansion of the breath is a reminder to break from the old forms where your suffering is. Observe where you ceases to work. Allow these multiple dimensions to be explored. Just as a frequency and a vibration, so otherwise the thinking will get engaged. More and more expansion. Let this Shakti brings you more than who you are. It's only asking you to become more than you are. Try not to fit into all security. That's where the suffocation happens. That's where the addiction happens. That's where the extramarital affairs happens. That's where many partners are needed. Very gently, arms raised onto the ground. Expansion, removing all the obstacles. That's what Ganesha is. Constantly expanding. Does not stop anywhere. Doesn't stop. Bringing the palms onto the third eye. Constantly keeping expanding. Throat chakra. Your presence of the heart that expand others to expand. Solar plexus. Allowing wherever is contracting to expand. Whatever that space is for you. Navel chakra. Expanding its diverse complex of things. Moldable. Growing into that space where you can expand more. Arms gently raised back to the ground, cleansing the space and the aura of the body, aura of the space of living, the state, earth, galaxy. Expand your awakening into all parts of the whole beings, beings that cannot be seen, beings who have departed, beings who are written, beings from the insects to the space. How could anything be small now that you're expanding the space of the vibration? That is relentless expansion. Comes onto the namaskar position in that self-realization. That union that we all are coming into all this practice. Namaste. You see, now that if you take that whole realization without the realization on a space of logic and word, it can be very personal. It can be very agitating because you might feel that these are personally, and what you want to protect is your limitation, your suffering. So you can end this suffering right now in this space. But if the suffering exists, you have to ask, who is the prime care of the suffering? Is your ego, the limitation. So now you understand. So these classes are not very popular with everybody because everybody will come for, uh, uh, I want my job to be changed. I want my new partner. I want this and 5 minutes ritual. But you understand this? Those are very popular these days. 5 minutes nirvana, 5 minutes enlightenment, uh, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. But life is not a time. If you can get a realization in 5 minutes, it's great. But then ask yourself, what are you doing in earth if you can get everything in 5 minutes? This is a place that we have come to enjoy, but also to learn to expand ourselves so that we are moving into other dimension, not in the limitation of a mind and a body, but respect, of course, and respect the path that you drive, because not everybody driving the same level of realization. For that reason, you have to be there. So now you can understand. Now you have to be very much on detox also with this practice. So today will be good for you to start with some vegetables, to use some hair oil to nourish the space of where something copper, because there's an electricity, and where there's copper, it energizes the harmony of the body. If you have detoxing tonics, then start them. Now very gently you can see the weather is also changing. So it's very good to now stop having a lot of ice water and going into the warm water, the lemon, the detox, because you want in the winter time the liver to function more. So you just take care of like you're taking care of the rest of the s'mores and celebrating life. But most of all, be like a child, giggle, laugh, smile. Uh, and when you also share that love to everybody in the world, imagine the frequency you're generating. In that frequency, is anything bad can happen? Never. Never. Frequency attracts things. But today you got the idea of merging both good and bad. You're not just wanting good and refusing the bad. You just laugh at both because it's the same God in two. See, I say, I come to you in one, but you see too many. Huh? I come to you, but you want to see the reflection, because the real thing is quite overwhelming, quite overwhelming. It can be quite overwhelming, but it comes like that. Saying that I love you all. Good to see you, Joe. Good to see you, Maria and Sage, Sylvia, my love, Matt, Rebecca, Des, and my beautiful family, and your lovely son and Pat. Love you all. I'll see you next week. Bye.